Go get that paper on my.
Okay, and go to the slideshow. Okay, I'm hoping that everyone can see our slideshow that we put together for Uncle Francis. And I just want to share with you his virtual funeral services. You should have gotten this information from either my Leanne or Tracy or Kavehilani. If not, then just give them a ring and I'm sure they can pass that on to you. We'd love to have you join us virtually if possible. And just wanted to explain to you the genesis of this activity that we're having tonight. Auntie Miley reminded us that when they were children that they had Ohana night regularly in their home and with Tutu Gilman. And as we went through Uncle Francis's personal belongings after he passed away, we found many of your cards, your letters, your well wishes that you sent to him, photos of family members that came to visit him in Hawaii. And we wanted to give us an opportunity to meet together as a family to remember Uncle Francis and his kindness and generosity towards all. This just happens to be a picture of Tom and Sally and their family, but I'm hoping that it represents all of you as you came to visit with him. He really loved it and appreciated it. So Francis Ka'oa'o Gilman Forsythe was born in 1936, passed away in 2020. And we want to begin this night and in memory of Uncle Francis with a spiritual thought by Kamoa'e and Tom Walk.
Ai, aloha me kākou e kauhana, nā kupuna, nā makua, nā keiki, nā maopuna. E like me ka mea ko kākou makua o Ka'awa'o I make ai o ihoi e ao, alohi no hoi I ka olelo Hawaii. Hai ana wau I ka'u manao ma ka olelo Hawaii. No leila, helu no wau I loko ka puke a Moromona, ma ka puke o Moroni, ma ka helu iwa kālua, pene ia. No leila, he manao I o e pono wei. Ina he manao I o e pono wei, a laila he manao lana no hoi e pono wei. Ina he manao lana e pono wei, a laila he aloha no hoi e pono wei. No leila, ma ke ia pauku, ke vehevehe ia nei a kākou, ke ka ina o nā mea a pau a ke akua, o ka mea mua ka manao I o. Ma muli o ke la manao I o, ka manao lana. Ina loa he manao lana, he pono e loa mai ke aloha. O ke aloha ka mea oia e o kona ikaika, me kona pono. No leila, he mea nui a kākou, po e mamo a Ka'awa'o me ka hakulani, e loa mau kākou I ke aloha. No leila, me ke aloha wau I olelo aku nei kia mo mea ma ka inoa hiwa o Yesu Kristo. Amen.
Amen. Is it my turn, Ronette?
Yes, Tom, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. I was going to say exactly what Kamoa'e said, so he kind of took the words right out of my mouth. So, but notwithstanding that, I did prepare a little something. So I'm just going to read it if that's okay. According to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the year 1993 brought us new words such as access provider, back button, cyber surfer, digital video disc, e-commerce, fashionista, universal resource locator, website, and wet willy. During that same year, 1993, Merriam-Webster's notes that the first use of the term game changer. Game changer is defined as a person, an idea, or an event that completely changes the way a situation develops, or an event, idea, or procedure that affects a significant shift in the current manner of doing or thinking about something. The first time I remember meeting Uncle Francis was when, to my best estimate, I was between 4 to 7 years old. My family and I were up at my grandpa and grandma Walk's house in the avenues of Salt Lake City, and we were eating lunch and hanging out when I heard my dad say to my mom, "Hey, here come your brothers." Up to this point in my life, I don't recall my mother having brothers or a sister. I remember running out to the front window of the house to see what my dad was talking about, and I saw these two handsome men walking up the sidewalk, Uncle Byron and Uncle Francis. I do not remember much more about that visit other than thinking that those guys are probably somehow related to my brother Ron. The next time I remember meeting Uncle Francis was in May of 1975 when my family traveled to Hawaii for Tutu Lady's funeral. I remember him being there with Tutu Man at the airport to pick us up, and I remember him being so nice, so kind, and particularly how interested at times he seemed in me and my life as a seventh grader. During our stay in Haleiwa that summer, I and my family spent a lot more time with Uncle Francis. I remember how attentive and solicitous he was to my mother, and particularly to Tutu Man. During that time, I came to admire Uncle Francis. When it came time for us to leave, I remember being sad to leave Uncle Francis. From that time on, I would write to him, and he would write back to me. He would always send our family the Hawaiian calendar every year. As I got older, the topic of our conversations and discussions changed, but the feelings I had for him never changed. As my life went on, I was always grateful for every moment I had with Uncle Francis. Uncle Francis helped pay for my mission, and I'm sure for so many others as well. He took such a genuine interest in me and in all of us. Over the past 20 or so years, I've had occasion to travel back to Hawaii for work and play. One of the first times I went, I called Uncle Francis because I just wanted to say hi and see how he was doing. Without any hesitation, he said, "Where are you? Where are you staying? I want to come and see you." And he did. And it always seemed like we would end up somewhere eating something good. I would tell him when I was leaving, and he would come to the airport to see me before I left. Sometimes we would end up at Willow's restaurant, sometimes just down at the food court at Ala Moana. This last summer, I and my little family, now a little bigger, were able to spend about 10 days on Oahu. I let Uncle Francis know that we were coming, and he insisted that we all go out for Chinese food. So my family, Ronette and Voe and Robin and Richard, maybe some others that I'm forgetting, got together and ate chop suey. Then, as if it was not enough, Uncle Francis took us to the Leonard's trailer in the parking lot of the mall. When I would introduce Uncle Francis to my friends, it was always, "This is him. This is Uncle Francis." I was so grateful that my children and my 3 grandsons were able to meet and spend time with my favorite uncle. For me, Uncle Francis was a game changer. He is one of the few people that comes into our lives and changes the way we feel about the world, about life, about others, and about ourselves. Francis, I believe, always saw and sees the good in everyone, even when we cannot see it in ourselves. He had this sense of making us better just because we were with him. He had this sense of wanting and feeling a need to be better just because we were with him. And because of him, I am different, I am a little better, and I can be, do, and become better yet. Uncle Francis loves unconditionally. He was always our biggest fan, our strongest supporter, and our ardent advocate. He was always so kind, gentle, and generous to a fault. But how can that ever be a fault? In the Book of Mormon, 3 Nephi chapter 11, beginning with verse 10, we read, "Behold, I am Jesus Christ, whom the prophets testified shall come into the world. And behold, I am the life and the light of the world." And it came to pass that when Jesus had spoken these words, the whole multitude fell to the earth, for they remembered that it had been prophesied among them that Christ should show himself unto them. And it came to pass that the Lord spake unto them, saying, "Arise and come forth unto me, that ye may thrust your hands into my side, and also that ye may feel the prints of the nails in my hands and in my feet, that ye may know that I am the God of Israel, and the God of the whole earth, and have been slain for the sins of the world." And it came to pass that the multitude went forth, and thrust their hands into his side, and did feel the prints of the nails in his hands and in his feet. And this they did do, going forth one by one, until they had all gone forth, and did see with their eyes, and did feel with their hands, and did know of a surety that it was he of whom it was written by the prophets that should come. What we are not told in this story, perhaps it was just not recorded, was the people's reaction to this scene. Imagine for a moment that you hear his voice, and you are bid to come forth to thrust your hands into his side, and feel the prints of the nails in his hands and in his feet. What do you suppose they said? What would you say? I think my reaction would be, "Is it really you?" And then it might be, "It is. It is really him." In my mind, as I picture this scene, I can see Uncle Francis there in that scene, ushering people forward, even me, and saying, "Come this way, you're almost there." You can see and know for yourself, it is really him. As much of a game changer as Uncle Francis was and is for me and for all of us, and the ways that he showed us how to love everyone, and how to be kind to everyone, and how to serve one another without any condition, the ultimate game changer is our Savior and Redeemer, Jesus Christ. Because of him, everything is different. Because of him, we can be different. Because of him, he who was a carpenter, a teacher, an outcast, a leader, yet he did what no carpenter, teacher, leader had ever done. Like all who preceded him, he lived, and he died. But unlike all who preceded him, he gave sight to the blind, hearing to the deaf, the lame he caused to walk, and he raised even the dead. He himself rose from the dead and lived, and he lives, and because he lives, you and I, everyone, everywhere, will live again. Because of him, death has no sting, the grave no victory. We can start again and again. Because of him, guilt becomes peace, regret becomes relief, despair becomes hope. Because of him, we have second chances, clean slates, new beginnings. There is no such thing as the end. Because of him, there is nothing we can do in or with our lives that will diminish the amount of love that he has for us. Because of him, we can and will be with Uncle Francis again and each other again. I so testify and bear this witness in the sacred name of our Lord and Savior, even Jesus Christ. Amen.
Mahalo to Kamoa'e and to Thomas for those beautiful spiritual thoughts. Appreciate that. We want to take a few moments now and share a slideshow that we've prepared for you of Uncle Francis and some of your family history. Francis Gilman Ka'oa'o Forsythe was born of goodly parents. His mother, Elizabeth Kahakulani Gilman, and father, Adam Ka'oa'o Forsythe. Adam was born of goodly parents. He was the 8th of 11 children. His father, Eddie Aki Forsythe, and his mother, Mary Giles or Mele Iaila. Eddie and Mary loved God first and left all earthly treasures behind on the island of Maui to establish the gathering place of saints and build a temple unto the Lord in Laie. Elizabeth was born of goodly parents. Her mother, Hannah Kahanavale Gilman, her father, William Ka'avaloa Gilman, for whom no known photo exists. On the photo that we have here, this is Tutu Gilman, circled in blue, at her 60th birthday luau. To the left is Tutu Lady, Elizabeth Kahakulani. To the far right is Tutu Man, Adam Ka'oa'o. The young, handsome gentleman in the back, that is Uncle Byron, who had just gone to pick up Auntie Maile, who is just in front of him, and Auntie Jorgen, who is in the second row from Kamehameha Schools, so they could join Tutu Gilman at her celebration. William and Hannah cherished their daughter, Elizabeth Kahakulani, beyond compare. She was the eldest of 14 children. If you will look at the photo that you see there on the right, that car is coming away from Waimea Bay. And if you were to take the next right turn, you would be on Pa'ala'a Road. So this photo is taken in 1920, and this is the haleiwa that Tutu Lady grew up in. Adam from Laie and Elizabeth from Haleiwa met in Honolulu at the Territorial Normal and Training School. They were married on June 19, 1930. The photo to your left is Tutu Man and Tutu Lady at Haleiwa Beach Park. The photo in the middle is Tutu Man and Tutu Lady at Wahiwa Branch after church. And the photo to your right is Tutu Man and Tutu Lady on a date night. Elizabeth and Adam lived in Laie before moving their family to Haleiwa for the remainder of their lives. Raised in the Catholic, then Protestant churches, Elizabeth was baptized a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 1937, a year after Uncle Francis was born. Can you find your grandparent? Just keep clicking. Yeah. Okay. This is the family that connects us together, Adam and Elizabeth, with Edward, Byron, Jorgen, Maile, and Francis, and this photo was taken in the backyard of the Haleiwa Hale. True or false, Uncle Francis was born on July 30, 1936. According to his birth certificate, it says July 30th, but it is false. He was really born on July 28, 1936 at Kahuku Hospital. And how did he know his true birth date? His mother told him so. He would say she was there, so she would know. Uncle Francis attended Haleiwa Elementary and Wailua Intermediate Schools.
My first piano lesson. I have always loved music. When we were growing up, Tutu Man, Adam, and Tutu Lady, Elizabeth, struggled to support us. An army couple from Wahiawa branch was being transferred and wanted to sell their upright piano for $50, about $540 today. I don't know how, but Tutu Man and Tutu Lady were able to purchase and transport the piano. I was a 7th grader at Wailua Intermediate. When I got home from school that day, Tutu Lady told me to come with her to the small shack. When I saw the piano, I was so stunned that I don't remember hugging or thanking Tutu Man and Tutu Lady for buying it. Tutu Lady taught me the C scale that day. She did not play the piano, but had some knowledge of music theory. Since that day and for the rest of my life, when people ask me how I learned to play the piano, my response was, my mother.
Uncle Francis attended Kamehameha schools with his sisters Jorgen and Maile from grades 9 through 12, where he was part of various clubs and the ROTC. Participating in chapel on campus was a requirement. Weeks before graduating from Kamehameha schools, he performed in 2 piano solos. His love for music and talent of piano playing continued throughout his life. Uncle Francis continued his association with classmates of Kamehameha class of 1954 throughout his life, participating in reunions with lots of ono food, fundraising, and choirs. Soon after high school, Uncle Francis left for Provo, Utah to attend BYU. He was always surrounded by his family and a host of friends from home and abroad. So the photo to the left, you can see Uncle Don and Auntie Maile to the left, and that is my father, Edward, with Auntie Jorgen and Uncle Francis to the far right. In the photo to the right, Uncle Francis is the tallest one to the very left. That is Clayton, my brother, with my dad holding him. In front of my father, that's Auntie Jorgen. To the right of Auntie Jorgen is my mother. And then to the very far right, we have Auntie Maile and Uncle Don. When Uncle Francis left Hawaii for Provo, he knew he would not be able to return until he graduated. He dove into his studies, worked a part-time job in which the cafeteria allowed him to take out food, and loved his mother's one-time visit from Hawaii. So these are 2 photos in which Tutu Lady visited them in Provo, Utah. And that's Auntie Maile and Uncle Francis studying very hard. Uncle Francis continued his association with friends and family members that attended BYU throughout his life. After graduating from BYU, Uncle Francis returned to Hawaii. His bishop invited him to consider serving a mission. He accepted and was called to the Northern Far East Mission, which included Japan, Okinawa, and Korea. He was endowed in the Hawaii Temple and departed for Japan. So the photo that you see there is Tutu Lady to the left, Uncle Francis with that stylish hat. Tutu Man is in the background, and that is my brother Clayton in the foreground. Oh, and that's his missionary identification. The service he rendered in Japan changed his life forever. He came to love the people, the language, and the culture of Japan. But more importantly, he learned to love the Lord and his work immensely. One of the many highlights of his missionary service was the opportunity to be interviewed by Elder Gordon B. Hinckley. Even after many years, when they met again, Elder Hinckley remembered Elder Forsythe of Hawaii. He continued his association with Mission President Paul Andrus, former companions and missionaries from the Northern Far East Mission throughout his life.
I had a degree, Bachelor of Arts in Accounting, and a minor in Japanese from BYU. And after several years of working various places, I had an interview for a budget clerk statistician position at Pearl Harbor. The interviewer noticed my application included my ability to speak Japanese. I gave him a translation of a sentence he gave, and I got the job and stayed there until I retired in 1994. I was employed by the Navy at Pearl Harbor for 31 years. The Lord blesses each of us. Since it didn't seem like it was my having a degree in accounting, nor my score on the test that allowed me the opportunity to be interviewed, it was because of a skill in a language that I learned on my mission.
On February 14th, 1979, while at work, Roxanne, Robin, and Renette sent Uncle Francis a singing telegram. He was called from behind his desk to come forward. The singer removed her cape, exposing her cabaret outfit, beat her drum, ta-da-ta-da-ta-ta, woo, and began dancing while singing him a Valentine wish from his nieces. He was so surprised, he simply gushed and blushed during the performance.
One night while praying and having afterthoughts of things I should have done in my life, or I should have done for my mother, a feeling came to my mind very clearly that she would want me to care for my dad as long as he lived. It became my desire to care for my dad. In April 1994, the timing seemed right, so I exercised the option to retire. I have never regretted that decision. On a side note, Uncle Francis was offered an upgrade in his status, a substantial pay raise to stay at work, and was advised to place his father in a care home. He declined all invitations. My dad and I did everything together. We were inseparable. I always held his hand wherever we went, as I had a tendency to walk fast. And of course, at his age, he walked a little slower. Holding hands kept us together and gave him support. On a doctor's visit, it was suggested that he see a gerontologist. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. I tried to help him. I was never embarrassed because of his illness. He was my father, and that is all that mattered. He came first. We went every place and did everything together. If you saw one, you saw the other. We took trips to the mainland, trips to the outer islands, drove everywhere on the island of Oahu, attended all our church meetings regularly, attended lectures and shows, went to family-oriented movies, had lunch at different parks, shopping centers, hotels, had dinner with family members every Sunday in Kailua, and got together with family during holidays and birthdays. My father, Adam Ka'awa'u Forsythe, or Tutu Man, passed away on August 3rd, 1996. As I look over the past 21 years together, I realize my mother's prompting me to care for him must have ultimately come from our Savior himself. For my love for my dad began to know no bounds as I had the blessing of being with him through our individual trials, those trials that we shared together and all the happy times that we had.
This is a special letter Uncle Francis received that we thought you might appreciate. It reads, "Dear Uncle Francis, my mom said your dad is with Heavenly Father. Your dad is nice to me. I like his smile. Do you know that my dad can adopt you? I saved this money for you. Love, Taylor." And in Taylor's drawing, he has Uncle Francis and Tutu Man holding hands. Throughout the remaining 26 years of his life, Uncle Francis continued to serve faithfully in his multiple callings in the church, staying close to family members and seeking to do good among his fellow men. God bless you, Uncle Francis. Until we meet again, we love you. So to my dear cousins, we're going to turn the time over to you to share your mana'o. We've been asked by Auntie Jorgen that you please state your name, how you are connected to Adam and Elizabeth, and to share a brief memory of Uncle Francis. We will know that you're done when you say thank you or mahalo, and we ask that the next speaker please begin immediately to cut out the lag. So we're going to turn the time over to OJ, and then Thomas, to Dalton, Dylan, and Kavika from Edward Forsythe's family. Thank you, OJ.
Okay. Thank you, Auntie. My parents are Robin and Richard Mayava. My father is Onesi Sr. I'm Onesi Jr. My grandfather is Edward, and my grandmother is Kau'i. It's so hard to share, one memory of Uncle Francis. We were so lucky to grow up with him in Hawaii. But the two distinct things that stick out, my memories of Uncle Francis is his service to the Lord, to Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ. I think that was probably the most important thing that he showed to me, at least. And the second thing was him taking care of Titu Man. I don't know anyone else that was more selfless than Uncle Francis when it came to service and taking care of those that he loved. And I'll always remember him for that. Thank you, everybody. Mahalo. Love you guys.
Hi, family. My name's Thomas. I'm OJ's younger brother, so same genealogy. I'll spare everybody the genealogy. My sister reached out and asked if I would share some thoughts about Uncle Francis, and like my brother, I feel very fortunate that I got to grow up in Hawaii and spend a ton of time with Uncle Francis. Kind of piggybacking off his comment, when I think of charity, I think of Uncle Francis, and I think of the sacrifices he made to not only take care of Tutu Man, but to also find time to spend with family that was in Hawaii. One of my fondest memories was every Sunday getting to see Uncle Francis and Tutu Man for a family dinner. And then the last thing, the one thing I'm most grateful for was Uncle Francis passing on his passion for music. Antoinette shared a letter that he had wrote to me that I don't know if I'd ever received, and maybe it was just something that he put in his journal. But Antoinette shared it earlier in the slideshow where he was talking about receiving the piano, and that portion was in the letter that he had written to me. And he also expressed his excitement in my wanting to learn how to play the piano. And had it not been for Uncle Francis's passion for the piano and for music, I don't know if I would ever have appreciated music as much as I do now. So I guess I'll end on that note and say that I miss Uncle Francis dearly, and I wish I would have had the opportunity to talk to him one more time before he passed. But thank you, mahalo.
Hi everyone, my name is Dalton Caldwell Forsythe, and I'm gonna cry through this too, but I'm the oldest of Clayton Forsythe's kids, and Clayton was the oldest of the Forsythe siblings, so a lot of things come up when I was thinking about this too, but for us, we grew up in Texas, and my dad working for the airlines, we always had the opportunity to just get on a flight and you could go home, even if it was just for a couple of days. And all of my memories in Hawaii are going back to the house in Haleiwa, and Uncle Francis was always there. And a couple of things that I remember specifically was always his love for music. I remember one time when he had bought that keyboard, that electric keyboard he had, and he had a laptop, and he paid for some software that he could play the keyboard and it would record his music. And if any of you have heard Uncle Francis play, you know he doesn't, he jazzes everything up, right? And he was pretty peeved that the software couldn't keep up with what he was putting down and couldn't lay out the music for him. And I remember having to explain to him, like, Uncle Francis, you're probably just gonna have to play notes right in line with the tempo, or else it can't record the music like you want. And that's just one thing I always remember about him. And I also remember him, just every time I went, he had like something interesting to teach me. I remember when I was really young, seeing a rainbow, and he taught us Roy G. Biv to remember all the colors of the rainbow. And just every time we're out there, just, taking care of us, being such a good part of the family, and, really just helping us out in every way he could. I also want to put a video up real quick. A couple of years ago, I was on YouTube and came across a commercial that Uncle Francis had been a part of. So I'm going to throw this up here and just share the first minute with you guys, and I'll let it pass on to Dylan. Let me see. Let me put it back up with the sound.
Aloha ano ai e hoa hanau a pau. My name is Francis Gilman Kawa'o Forsythe. I've lived here in Haleiwa and Wailua in this area all my life. I'm the 6th generation of my mother's side of the family that has lived on this side of the island. For those who are visiting Haleiwa in this area, let me say this: the town has remained relatively the same as it has existed for the last 50 years. We don't have very many big developments. As a result, you will see a lot of the stores, a lot of the places that were built in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. And I think it adds that ambiance of pioneering, that you might say, here in the Haleiwa Wailua area.
This was the home of...
Thought that was kind of a cool little clip I found. So that's always how I remember Uncle Francis, but love you guys. Mahalo.
Can you guys see me? All right, so I'm Dylan Keikepono Forsythe, and I'm Dalton's little brother. And yeah, a couple days ago, my mom and I were talking about things that we remembered and loved about Uncle Francis, and she had brought up that rainbow thing and was wondering if that was with me or with Dalton. And after thinking about it, I couldn't remember, but I guess that was with Dalton. But one thing that I always remembered was how he was always teaching us stuff. He taught Dalton about the rainbow, but he taught me plenty of other things. One of the greatest things that I think I ever learned from him was the last time we were out in Hawaii. We all gathered together as a family, and I don't know how this conversation sparked, but we wound up talking about people's middle names and the importance that it carried. And he taught me how to chain things together, and how Hawaiian was a conceptual language, and how the beauty of the language was kind of just in your head. And it was really kind of a reflection of how you felt. And he walked me through a few middle names, and then he asked me if I knew what mine meant. And I told him, well, of course, my parents have always told me, and I always knew. But then he took me through my middle name anyways, and I wound up learning quite a bit of things that I never knew. And that was just one of the many examples of just the patience that he had to speak with whoever he was with and show his love for them. And I came away from that just very pleased with a new understanding, not only of myself, but of him, because I'd never really experienced something like that with him before, and that was probably one of my greatest memories of him. And here's Dave.
How's it going? I'm Kavika Kekoa Maikalani Forsythe. I'm the youngest of Clayton's sons. I'm also the youngest of all of Edward's grandchildren. And when I think of Uncle Francis, I always think of both my brothers said, his love of music. And I remember pretty much every family gathering or anytime we would go to church, he was always playing the piano and we'd always sing hymns. And I think probably the biggest thing that I'll remember about him was the spirit that he brought through the power of music and that talent that he had. And everybody has their individual talents. Everybody has something that God has given them, and Uncle Francis definitely developed his talent of being able to teach others, being able to help each other feel the Spirit of the Lord through the power of music. And that's how I'll remember Uncle Francis. Mahalo.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be cousin Trevor. Trevor, are you on? I'm not sure. Okay, if anyone sees Trevor come on, then we'll certainly make time for he and his children who wanted to participate. We want to welcome Elder Riggin. Thank you for being there. If you can hang in with us, Elder Riggin, we want to give you some time, please, under your grandmother's, with your grandmother's family. But could we move on to Auntie Jorgen's family? So Miley Ann, if you'll take over, please.
Okay, we're gonna start with Kamawai's family. So, Ka'anoi, if you wanna go ahead.
Aloha kako. My name is Ka'anoi Walk. I'm the eldest of Richard Kamawa'e Walk. And we descend from Grandma Luahiva Jorgen Forsythe Walk. I had to get a paper and a pen to kind of organize my thoughts. So awesome to hear all the stories that were shared. And so some of the things that come to mind, actually the first thing that came to mind about Uncle Francis, he had this gift, I think, this intuition, a way of probing and trying to find out what's happening and how, in a way that's not maha'oi, but truly and genuinely trying to see how he can be of service and help to the family. And that, his service is something that certainly kept coming to mind. He always made sure whenever he took us keiki or ohana with the parents that we were fed. And as a child, that was a fond memory. And last but not least, the thing that really comes back to me is if you've been embraced by Uncle Francis, if you received an Uncle Francis hug, that is aloha. He leaves you energized, he leaves you charged spiritually and physically, but he had so much aloha. And one of the ways I remember feeling that is when he would give us a hug when he came and when we departed. So these are some of the memories of Uncle Francis, and mahalo for letting me share this with everyone.
Do you want to introduce the rest of your siblings? Whoever is going.
Sure. Let me see. I'm not sure if Kulia is online. I do see Ke'alohi Makamai. So I will pass it over to Ke'alohi Makamai.
Aloha. I'm June Ke'alohi Makamai Walk Cravens. I'm number 3 in the ohana from Grandma Walk and Grandpa Walk. you know, just echoing what everyone said of Uncle Francis, you know, his aloha that he had for all of us. And, you know, he was just such a special person. And I remember when I was in high school, it was kind of funny. Uncle Francis was taking my dad's Hawaiian class at BYU. And he would stop at the house knowing that my dad wasn't there. And he would bring his ha'awina with him. And he would ask me, Ke alohi makamai, can you check this to see if I'm correct? And I would tell him, Uncle, you should just go ask my dad. I don't, you know, I'm probably not the best one to help you correct your ha'awina. And he said, oh, no. Don't tell your dad I came over. Just help me with my ha'awina. And it was so funny, but just little stuff like that. And you know, most recently for myself and my family, my father-in-law passed away last year in September, and I was making my phone calls to everyone to let them know that, you know, that Bill Cravens had passed away. And so Marvin was up in San Diego with his family already, and I was at home with the 6 kids, and we were talking and we were trying to figure out, you know, who's gonna go up, who can we afford to send up. And then Uncle Francis called and gave all of his Hawaiian miles for my family. And I didn't even ask him for it, and he just willingly gave all his miles and made it possible for that door to even be open for my family to go up for my father-in-law's funeral, so that my kids could go to their papa's funeral. And the whole time I just kept telling him, you know, thank you, Uncle Francis. And he kept telling me, no, don't, that's what family's for, that we're ohana. That's how we show aloha for each other. And so I'll always remember Uncle Francis for his aloha and his kindness and just, you know, just that pure love of Christ that he had for anyone and everyone that knew him and that was around him. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Ke alohi makamai. We kind of went out of order. So I'm number 1. Ke alohi makamai is number 3 in our family. And next we have Kulia. She's number 2. She's all the way in New Zealand. Just got done with church and tuning in. Because of her maturity, early maturity, people often think that she's the oldest, but it's actually me. Kulia, please share your thoughts. Kulia. Okay, maybe she's driving.
Oh, sorry. My thinking is cutting out. I'm currently on the road, but I'm on hands-free. But I just wanted to, the first thing that came to my mind about Uncle Francis was when I was in high school and I got my learner's permit, and I really wanted to get my driver's license, but me and Kanoi were at Kamehameha schools, and my parents were on like a different school schedule, and nobody could help me practice to go take my exam. So Uncle Francis drove down, I think like 3 times a week, and was so patient and taught me how to drive parallel park. We drove all around Laie, Hau'ula, Kahuku, and he's the one that took me to get my driver's license. And yeah, that was one of my fun memories of Uncle, because he was just so patient, especially compared to my parents who were crazy, and I was always the great driver. But yeah, I was grateful for him in high school, and then when I had all my kids, we enjoyed visiting with Uncle with all of our kids, and my older kids do remember Uncle Francis, just not the babies. And one thing I always remember about Uncle Francis as well is his beautiful music and his piano. And I'm not musically inclined at all. But one of my sons, my middle son, Kotwa, just started taking piano. And I was so happy when he loved playing it because it reminded me of the passion that Uncle Francis had playing piano. But I don't want to talk for too long. But nice to see all your guys' faces on Zoom and hope everyone's doing fine. And we're doing fine all the way in New Zealand. And aloha.
Mahalo kulia. So we have 2 more in our family, Okai and Kuola, but they have both graciously given up their time for the 3 older ones to share our thoughts. So mahalo nui to the ohana and for putting this together. This is so awesome. Turning it back over to you, Auntie Maile.
Okay. Thank you, Ka'anoe and Ke'a and Kulia. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to say that Uncle Francis was, since he was not married, every single one of us benefited from him not being married, only because we got more of his time and more of his energies than if he had been married. But if he had been married, I was rooting for Donna Mae Chun. She was my favorite. I cherish my relationship with Uncle Francis. I went to Hawaii a year ago, to help my daughter Cheyenne with the birth of her son, Keone. During that time, I would get together with Uncle Francis once a week, and we would go spend an entire day together, going to lunch and then to a movie, and then running errands and whatever else he needed to get done. We both enjoyed our time together and looked forward to getting back together when I went back the next time. We were already planning where we were going. We had first Young's Fish Market, the next time Chop Suey and the really Ono Korean restaurant in Wahiawa, and then the list goes on. But because of COVID, I wasn't able to go. We were also starting a business together. He was joining Megan and I at Lealoha, where he would be able to bring some of his ideas that he's had for a while to life. If we had more Uncle Francises in the world, it would be a much better place. He would go out of his way to make people feel loved and special. He had an eloquent way of speaking and making you feel like you were the most important person in the world. He was full of charity and was a shining example and a true disciple of Christ. He always looked and found the good in other people. I know that he deeply had an impact on all of our lives and loved each one of us. I know that Mom and Auntie Maile will miss their daily phone calls with him, and I'll miss my phone calls with him as well. Mahalo. I'll go ahead and turn the time over to my husband, Carlos.
Aloha, everybody. I'm Carlos Garcia. Uncle Francis was my uncle, but by marriage. I did not have the blessing of growing up with knowing Uncle Francis like most of you. I first met him 36 years ago when I went to Hawaii in the summer of 1984 to attend BYU. At that time, I was trying to catch Miley's attention, and I was worried how I was going to be received by her family. Uncle Francis immediately eased my concerns because of the gift he has of making people feel very comfortable and at ease. He made me feel loved and accepted, and I will be forever grateful to him for that. Through the years, he went on to demonstrate that my first impression of him was correct. He was a fun, kind, and gentle spirit that lived the gospel that he loved. He was also very talented and shared those talents with everyone. I remember being in Hawaii and going to visit him, only to find him at the church practicing the hymns he was going to be playing in sacrament the following Sunday. I asked him why he was practicing, and he said that he did not want to affect in a negative manner the members' sacrament experience. He was always thinking of others, and I am grateful for the example he always set. I will miss him. And the wise counsel and advice that he gave me. Mahalo.
We'll go on to our oldest daughter, Alexandria. Alex.
Unmute. Nope.
You're still muted, sweetie.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Whoa. All right. Sorry. New to Zoom on this way. I'm Alexandria Kehivalani Hiino Luna Garcia Millions. I'm the daughter of Miley Ann Walk and Carlos Garcia. I'm the granddaughter of Jorgen and Gerald Walk. And I have many memories of Uncle Francis. However, there are a couple that stand out. Number one, both Uncle Francis and my grandma Jorgen's love of music and desire for me to be successful in music was extremely powerful to me. I know that both my grandma and Uncle Francis really showed me great songs, and they supported my love of music. The second memory, one of the strongest memories I have of Uncle Francis, is I was there for computer school, which is the next grade above Expo. For those of you who got to go to computer school, I was there. And Uncle Francis, it was when both Shrek and the Animal were in theaters. And so Uncle Francis gave me the option to either take me to Shrek, which is rated PG, now that I know, or The Animal, which is PG-13. We did not know it was PG-13. And I had no idea, so Uncle Francis chose to take him and I to The Animal. Do not go see it with little children. Uncle Francis took me and I was 12. It was the most uncomfortable feeling that I think maybe him and I ever had. And even years later, when it was just him and I, no one else was around, he still apologized for taking me to that movie. But one of the things that showed me was that he cared for me that much that even years later he was apologetic for taking me to that type of movie. And it was bad and it was raunchy, but him and I got to experience that together, and I don't think he would have ever seen it with anyone else. But besides that, I think one of the things that I do take away from Uncle Francis is because I got to live with my grandma and my grandpa for so many years when I was little and even during college, was that I got to listen to the phone calls between my grandma and Uncle Francis, and they were the most pure phone calls I think I've ever heard. And I really take away that Uncle Francis and my grandma and Auntie Miley and all their siblings had such a close relationship with each other. And I loved that they were so close. And I think anyone who ever interacted with Uncle Francis got to understand just the love between him and his family, regardless to the degree. If you're his sibling, if you were his nephew, if you were his niece, it was just, he only exuded pure love. And I just, not everyone can portray that. And I think that is an exceptionally special gift that he got to share with everyone. And if you ever crossed his path, you are so lucky to know him, because I really don't think that you will ever encounter that again. Mahalo.
Okay, next up we'll have Kamai, Megan.
Okay, we'll focus on just me for a moment. I'm number 2. I'm Jorgen's favorite grandchild. So simultaneously Uncle Francis's favorite niece. And Alex stole my story, because when I thought of Uncle Francis, I thought of that story because I remember going to see that movie, and I remember him saying, okay guys, we could see Shrek or we could see The Animal, and we were like, we've already seen Shrek. So we just walked into a PG-13 movie with Uncle Francis, and it was so bad. And we walked out, and I remember him saying, that was good. And we were like, no, I'm so sorry. We felt bad because we were the ones that chose it. But we were so excited to like go out with him, and he took us, to a big movie theater, and we got popcorn and all that. So another story that I will remember is my sister Cheyenne and we scored tickets to a Jazz game. They were 10th row tickets. We walked down to the lower bowl. We felt super cool. And about halftime, we look across at the players' bench, and I said, Shy, is that Uncle Francis down there? And she's like, where? And I'm like, the guy that looks just like Uncle Francis, and he has his hands resting on his cane, and he's just sitting courtside at the basketball game. And we just felt so ashamed, like we're not cool. We're on the 10th row, and Uncle Francis is on courtside. So he was there with Jean, and he loved doing, he went on many adventures, but whenever you would leave after spending time with Uncle Francis, you would leave with just feeling full of Ono food, and usually ice cream, and full of love, because he just had so much love to share, and the kindness he showed to me and my family and my husband and my children, I will forever keep that with me. The last time he and I spoke, we were making plans to launch a business, and he was so ambitious and so excited, and he had all these great ideas. Nothing slowed him down, and I fully expected that we would be working on that right now. So I will miss him, and I have a lot of love for him. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next we'll have my son Koa. He's number 4 in our family.
Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Man, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Like the impact that Uncle Francis has had on me, and I just wish I was able to spend a lot more time with him. Growing up in Utah, like we only saw him occasionally, and so like it was whenever we flew down or whenever he flew down to Utah for conference, and it was just like little interactions, and we talk story every now and then. But I remember one of the most significant things that he did was right before I left on my mission. So we were at Uncle Kamwai's house, and he was right about to leave, and so we were just talking, and he just pulls me aside, and he's like, don't worry, like everything's gonna be okay. Like you might be stressed out, but you got this. And the last thing he said was, "You have so much aloha." And then he gave me his famous Uncle Francis hug. And that hug was different just because, you know, I could feel his mana. He gave me some of that, and I was able to take that to New York when I left my mission. And one morning I was studying, and for some reason, I just had a prompting to pull up the picture of Jesus talking with the kids. You know, and it's a very welcoming scene. And you know, that morning when I was studying, it just, like, to me, that was Uncle Francis sitting there as a savior, and just inviting everybody to come and talk with him and feel the aloha that he has. So yeah, I was very blessed and very grateful to know Uncle Francis for who he was. You know, he was, to me, one of the ultimate examples of Christ-like love and all the attributes, you know, kindness, charity, patience. And I'm always going to be grateful for that, and I'll never forget it. Mahalo.
My youngest daughter, Cheyenne, just was able to get on, so she would like to say a few words. Cheyenne?
Hello, everybody. I'm just gonna make this quick, but one of my favorite memories that I had with Uncle Francis was when I flew out here with Grandma and Grandpa, and we stayed at Uncle Francis' house when I went to explorations. And Uncle Francis tried every morning to get me, or to try to teach me how to play piano. And as much as he tried, I just never could get it. So I unfortunately did not get his music genes, but I did get his love of shave ice. And I'm so glad that we were able to spend time with him last year when my mom was out here. And we went and got shave ice. He stayed in the hot car that he loved. And I remember him telling me how important it was to him that I taught my son both his Hawaiian side and his Tongan side, because he said that one day he would be grateful to me and Lai for teaching him his family history. Another funny story that I have is at mine and Lai's wedding. Uncle Francis was talking to Lai, and Uncle Francis is so welcoming, and he was talking to Lai and just telling him that he's so grateful that he's part of the family now, but that now that he's the newest member of the family meant that Lai needed to go get him food. So Lai went and got a plate of food, and then he brought it to Uncle Francis, and he said, "Oh, now you can call me Uncle Frank." And so later on our honeymoon, then we were talking about all the people that were at our wedding, and Lai goes, he said something about Uncle Frank, and I said, "Who's Uncle Frank?" And he said, "Oh, your uncle." And I said, "I don't have an Uncle Frank." And he said, "Oh, I think Uncle Francis." And I said, "Why did you call him Uncle Frank?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know, that's what he told me to call him." So I don't know if there's anybody else who called him Uncle Frank, but he told Lai that, and he was just so funny and so welcoming and loving to everybody, and we love him, and he will be missed by so many people. And yeah, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, I want to thank all my kids for being willing to talk about Uncle Francis. So we'll go ahead and turn the time over to Ron, and then after Ron, let's turn it over to Tom, and then Tom, you can introduce each of your kids.
Ron, you're muted.
he's doing it.
Thanks you. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. Thanks for everything. I'm just loving it, especially that slideshow. O genki desu ka, minasama. I had to say something in Japanese because it's one of the things about Francis that I had a really special bond and connection, and that is that he and I shared this cultural and language bond through both being missionaries in Japan. And so one of the fondest memories that I had with Francis is when he invited me to join him on a very exciting business adventure around 1983 or so. And he took me to Tokyo with him, and we spent several weeks there together. And you know, when I say it was an adventure, it's just an adventure to be with Uncle Francis. I mean, he's just fun to be with, but to have a couple of weeks traveling, I mean, was just such a memory for me. And it started out on this very long flight from Honolulu to Tokyo Narita. I remember as soon as we got on, we made fast friends with a flight attendant who was really chit-chatty, and we talked for hours and hours, which seemed like a wonderful vision for a fun future for me. And we were in Tokyo together, and we just had so much fun. A couple of Hawaiian guys speaking Japanese all over Tokyo and just having the time of our life. And the one thing about Francis, as you all know, Francis, well, one of the things that I think about Francis is that he is someone who had this great natural capacity for delight. Like, he could easily delight in food, music, warm conversation, and you could see it in his countenance that he could take such delight in things. One of the things that we found when we were in Tokyo is we found this wonderful izakaya, like a little hole in the wall. It was a yakitori place. And I remember specifically that we loved it so much, and we went back probably every night after we found it. And one of the favorite so they have a menu with all these different kinds of yakitori, these different kinds of birds, and Uncle Francis loved one of them. And we found out later it was pigeon. And so that always stays in my memory. It's just a really fond memory that we just really enjoyed that pigeon. And I never looked at it the same after that. The other thing about Francis, as you all know, is that he had such a beautiful intuition for music and melody and chords. And some of my fondest memories were of Francis just sitting at the piano, and he had this way of zhuzhing up even a hymn that he could strike just such a lovely, tender chord that you don't expect to hear. And that seemed to embody him and his personality to me so much, is this ability to kind of strike a really tender, sweet chord. And that will always stay in my mind as one of the things, that and his, as they said, his great capacity to delight. And you know, the fact that for all of us, he was such a warm connection. And I just think he's probably smiling. I can feel that smile and his delight in knowing that we're all kind of together this evening. So thank you. Arigatou gozaimashita. Aloha, everyone.
Okay, I think I'm supposed to take over now. So on here we have TJ, who is our oldest son, and then William, who is our second son, and then Annie, who's our first daughter, David, who's our last son, and then Emily, who is our final daughter. And so we'll go to TJ right now.
Hey guys, this is really cool. It's really cool to see everybody, and just think that we're all over the world just celebrating Uncle Francis. I'm like Tom said, I'm the oldest of Tom and Sally, so I'm Jerry and Jorgen's grandson. Cousins to the Garcias and the walks over in Hawaii. I'm kind of disappointed I didn't know about that story with the animal. Just finding that out tonight, that was awesome. So my very first like real memory I can think of with Uncle Francis when I was 11, and I went over for explorations. And after explorations was over, we were staying at Rick's, but you know, all the cousins and everybody had stuff they were doing, so it was just touring the island. And Uncle Francis just drove us everywhere, and like we were eating and we were exploring, we were taking pictures, we were hiking, and we were body surfing and all this stuff for 10 days. And then I remember at the airport, you know, saying goodbye. This was back when you could go to the terminal with people and say goodbye. And that was my very first that I can remember Uncle Francis hug. So that was one example I saw just of what kind of a person he was. The second thing I think I really noticed about him was just how simple a life he lived. I think he was one of the happiest, just most satisfied and fulfilled people I've ever seen in my life. And I think that's because of the values and the beliefs that he had, and just how he lived those to the very last breath he took. And I remember when my dad texted us that he had died, and I was driving, I just started crying, and it's kind of interesting because, you know, I'm a little ways away from him. I'm his sister's son's son, you know, but like has been said, I just felt like he really cared about me as an individual, even though I lived 5,000 miles away from him. And I think just, you know, last year when we were able to go over and see him, I'm really glad that my wife Natalie and my little boy Thomas got to meet him and experience him. And those pictures that you saw, it'll be really cool to show Thomas later on and say, hey, there's Uncle Francis. You got to meet him before he passed away. So aloha, everybody. Mahalo. It's good to see you.
Thanks, TJ. Annie, I think, is on now. So we'll go to Annie. Annie, are you out there?
I'm here. Hi, everybody. Sorry for any noise. Rocky's over here, and he might make some noise, but I am happy to join, and I'm so happy to be a part of this family. And I don't know, you know, don't maybe not know all of you and don't remember meeting all of you, but we're all family, and I'm so happy to be gathered with all of you. One most recent memory of Uncle Francis, he is amazing, absolutely incredible. And he, the first thing that came to my mind when my dad sent that text, I was really sad, but he was always very giving and always thought about others first. And I experienced that personally in like my little family that I have now. He generously sent a card, just a congratulations card, to us when we had our first little boy Rocky and our little girl June. And I am also the daughter, you know, it's down the line of a relative, and to know that family is out there watching over everybody and caring for everybody is probably the best feeling ever. And it was very comforting to know that Uncle Francis was, you know, knowing and hearing about me and my family and caring for us. And that is most recently one of the best memories of Uncle Francis. Going back a lot of years, probably not a lot, but going back some years, when I went to explorations,
we had me and Grandma, Grandma Jorgen, Grandma Luhiva, and Rissa and Spencer got to stay at Uncle Francis's house, and it was awesome. It was the best. I just remember.
No, I have
like,
somewhere to go. I'm sorry.
And it was amazing. And he took us everywhere. We went and got shave ice all the time, and that will forever be a memory of staying at his house. That was so fun. But yeah, love, and we'll miss him, but I love all of you guys too, and I'm so happy to be a part of this family.
Thank you, Annie. David and William are out of town, and so they are not participating with us, but I wanted to say one thing, and I'll be brief. David, and I'm going to speak for David. Well, William has some really wonderful memories about Uncle Francis as well, and the things that they did together. But also, David, for whatever reason, David had a very special bond with Uncle Francis. David, to this day, believes that he is the most Hawaiian out of anybody in everybody's family. He believes that he is even more Hawaiian than Uncle Kamo'ai, which I think he is. Because Tutu Man, I remember, said Uncle Kamo'ai is just a haole guy. So, but David had this bond with him so tight that Uncle Francis introduced David to Pala'a Bakery. And so every time they would go there, every time David was there, Francis and David would get together and they would find the places to go eat. And David would come home and I'd say, what did you do? He goes, oh, Dad, me and Francis, we ate everything. I go, what? Did you do anything fun? Did you go? No. He goes, Dad, we went to all these new places. We ate all this stuff. And then Uncle Francis gave him a Kamehameha shirt one time. And for whatever reason, again, I think it was probably because David likes to eat. And so if you like to eat, you are like an automatic friend of Uncle Francis. So they created this bond, which I don't think it can ever be broken. And I know that David and William and all of my family just love Uncle Francis. We will miss him. We love him greatly. And it is so good. I want to say this on behalf of my family. It's so good to see everybody. Maybe when COVID's over, we really should get together in person. That would be a lot of fun. So love to everybody. Aloha from the Tom and Sally Walk family.
Oh. I think it's Auntie Miley's family that's up now.
Yeah, Tracy, this is Renette. Tracy, I believe we have Elder Riggin on with us today.
We need to hear from him.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Tracy, thank you so much. Okay.
Coy, you're up, buddy. I mean, Elder Riggin, you're up.
I don't see them on the list anymore.
Oh dear.
I think yeah, we had him for a bit, but that's wonderful that he could join us for a moment. Thank you. Sorry, Tracy, you may proceed.
Okay. Aloha, everyone, from Vancouver, Washington. This is Tracy Luthi, Shad, my husband. I'm the oldest daughter of Auntie Miley and Uncle Don, niece to Uncle Francis, granddaughter of Tutu Lady and Tutu Man. And we just want to thank all of our cousins. I'm the haole cousin, I'll just say that. But we want to thank our cousins in Hawaii that we love and we were always a little jealous of, because you lived in paradise, we didn't. But some things I was thinking about, everybody has shared. I was telling Shad, every story, not every story, a few stories that I wanted to share were mentioned. But what I think of when I think of Uncle Francis is, you know, he lived a long ways away from us, as did Tutu Lady and Tutu Man. And we got to meet them a few times in our life and spend time with them. But about the time I was a little girl growing up in Cowiche, Washington, Uncle Francis was like my pen pal. You know, when you get to the point where you can write letters and you think that's really cool. We didn't have cell phones or any of that. We had a piece of paper and a pencil and a stamp. And I would write Uncle Francis and Tutu Lady sometimes. And he would always write back. And I wrote a lot of letters to him, even though I hadn't really met him in person that often. As I got older and we had a few more experiences with him, as other people have said, he always took us to chop suey. I remember thinking, we don't have chop suey in Yakima, Washington. And we have to wait till we go to Hawaii to have decent chop suey, but we would always be so excited because Uncle Francis, we knew it was a sure thing. If he was coming, then we got to go eat chop suey. And then I think my most fondest memories of Uncle Francis was sitting around in Tutu Lady and Tutu Man's living room. This is one of those times I was a little envious of my cousins who got to go to school there in Hawaii. And my mom and Auntie Cowie would be playing the ukulele and singing. And my cousins Ronette and Roxanne and Robin and Tom and Ronald Paul and Miley, who got to go to school there, and Rick. Sorry, Rick, I can never call you your Hawaiian name. You're always Rick to me. And Uncle Francis would be playing on the piano. And you guys would sing that song. I don't even know what it's called. Mom, you know what it's called. I can't remember. So beautiful. And everybody would harmonize. And Uncle Francis would do his Uncle Francis thing on the piano. And I remember thinking, I just wanted it to keep going. I didn't want the song to stop. It was just so beautiful. And Uncle Francis was a big part of that. And someone talked about listening to Auntie Jorgen and my mom, Auntie Miley, and Uncle Francis talking. And I know exactly what you're saying. It was very, we were like eavesdropping, I guess, but it's very comforting to listen to them talk pidgin. Okay, that was hilarious. My family loved listening to my mom talk normal until she got on the phone with Auntie Jorgen and Uncle Francis. And then, oh my gosh, I didn't even recognize her. But we loved listening to it. My brothers could speak it, my sister a little. I was literally the big howly. I could never talk pidgin. But anyway, that was really fun to listen to them. And Uncle Francis kind of was the glue that held the family, not held the family together, but blended the family together so well. He was such a kind, loving, and gentle man that we all are going to miss. It doesn't seem possible still, but we love him and all of you. And I think I've spoken too much, so mahalo. Now, I don't know if my brothers and sisters, they would never commit to me, but I really think that my brother Michael should say something. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike. And Renee said she might want us to talk. Kelly and Lynn are in the car and they said they have bad reception, so I don't know if they can speak. But anyway, Mike, you want to say something?
Yeah, Travis.
Uncle, you gotta unmute.
Unmute, Uncle.
How's that? Can you hear me now? Okay. Well, I've been sitting here listening to, okay, first of all, I'm Michael. I'm the oldest son of Auntie Miley and Uncle Don, and I'm here with them today in Chelan, Washington, making sure that they understand this whole Zoom technology thing that we got going on.
Help.
If you look very carefully, you'll see Jody, who has joined us from our home in Yakima. So she's here with us as well. So I've been thinking about what I might say about Uncle Francis, and there are two things that define for me my memories of Uncle Francis, and then I'll tell you one quick story. The first thing that in my mind, if there's a word that forever defines Uncle Francis in my mind, it's a word that we've all touched on tonight, and that's the word kind or kindness. I think if any of you go to Alexa, ask Alexa for the definition of kindness, Alexa is simply going to say Uncle Francis. And I think that would be appropriate. He is the most kind individual I think I've ever met. The other thing that I always think about when I think of Uncle Francis is how he greeted me, because it was always the same every single time. And I'm gonna try this. I'm not gonna do a very good job of it, but this is the way he always, whether it's on the phone or in person, he always greeted me with that very gentle voice. He'd always say, "Oh, Michael, how are you?" Every single time. And I remember that, and I will always remember that. I'm gonna tell you a fairly recent story. A couple of years ago, Jody and I took the opportunity to visit the islands. And we spent just a couple of days on Oahu. And Jody had never been to the islands before. And so we kind of did the touristy thing, trying to get in as much of that island as we could for her. But we did have a very short window of time where I called Uncle Francis, said, "Hey, look, we have a little bit of time. What is your schedule like? I'd love for you to meet Jody." And his response was, "Oh, I have a doctor's appointment." So to me, that was it. To me, I was like, okay, no problem. We'll do it another time. And he said, "I'll tell you what, if you will pick me up from the doctor's office, I'll get a ride to the doctor's office, and then you can take me home and we can spend the afternoon together." So we agreed to do that. And unfortunately, I'm trying to remember this as good as I can. The entrance to his doctor, where he was going at that time, was in the back of the building. So Jody and I got to the building and didn't realize that the entrance was in the back of, anyway, to make a long story short, I think he waited for us like 30 minutes because we were driving around the building, not knowing what to do. But he was so patient, and we got in. And then, of course, as you all know, we all know what we did. After he got in the car, we went to go eat. And he took us to one of his favorite restaurants up in Mililani, and we spent the whole afternoon with him. And I personally believe, as much as he loves everyone, including me, I believe that his motivation was to meet Jody and to welcome her, as only Uncle Francis knows how to do, to welcome her to the Forsythe side of the family. So we spent the whole afternoon with him, and I know that Jody came away with such an appreciation. She told me several times how she really appreciated spending those few hours with him, and to finally come to terms with the understanding of why we all cherish him, because he made her feel so welcome and so loved. So I'll leave that with you, and I'm not sure, I don't know if my brother's online, but if not, I'll throw it over to Renee.
Okay, I'll just go since I don't think Kelly, they said they were driving, so they have in and out connection. So I'm Renee. Okay, sorry, I need to say that again. Oh, Renee. That's my name with Uncle Francis. It's not Renee, it's Renee. I'm Miley's youngest daughter, and Uncle Francis' youngest niece and favorite niece. So I really thought I was his favorite niece until I attended this Zoom meeting. But that was Uncle Francis's like superpower, right? He had the ability to make everyone feel loved, and that you were his favorite person for that moment. So really, you've all expressed how I've been feeling. Sorry. And I don't really have a story to share. But the best part of Uncle Francis to me was throughout the years in our conversations, he knew what was going on in my life before we even really had a conversation. He knew what was going on in my kid's life. And I'm sure it was my mother was the guy that was sharing all the details. But I know he asked and listened to all the questions that he had, what was going on in Renee's life and her family's life. But he knew everything, and he knew the details, and he remembered them. And that is what made me feel special, that he really wanted to get to know us, even though we lived so far away. And I felt like he knew me because he knew what was going on in my life, in my kid's life. And that's really how he showed his love for each of us, is just generally getting to know us, even when we're so far away. And that's all I have to say. I love you all, and I appreciate everyone that has spent time to set this all up and make this a special evening for us. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo to all of our cousins for your participation. We have our two favorite speakers for today is going to be Auntie Miley first and then Auntie Jorgen. But before we have them, I wanted to invite my niece Kavehi to please speak. She spent much time helping Uncle Francis over the many years throughout her life. And then my sister Roxanne, I'm gonna ask Roxanne to just give a quick overview so that you can understand Uncle Francis's health conditions towards the end of his life, if that's okay. And then I will come back and just give you a couple of bits of information so that you can check out some Google Docs that we have available for you for your personal family history. Okay, Kavehi Lani, and then Roxanne, please.
Can everybody hear me? You gotta mute your stuff now. Just mute while I'm on. Oh, here, I'll just go to a different room. I'll actually go into Uncle Francis's room. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak today, but I do have to say that in my small family that contains me and my husband, I was not the favorite. Uncle Francis had a true love for my husband, and one day we had a conversation and he was telling me what he had envisioned for me in a spouse, and all of that went out the window when he met my husband and got to know him. And he said it was through the love that he had for my parents that he fell in love with my husband. And so he loved to make us blueberry pies. My husband and I would eat all the blueberry pies that he would bring our way because he knew how much my husband loved it. And so my husband always teased me and said that you really know who the favorite is in this household. So my favorite thing about spending the time that I had with Uncle Francis is that It was the simple things, whether it was he needed a ride to the doctor's office, or picking up supplies for his computer because his printer wasn't working, or we just had started our tradition of Sunday dinners too, a couple of weeks before his passing. And he made us his onolicious beef stew. But it was those little things that I really enjoyed. But when we were younger, I was sharing this with my mom, it was all about the movies. And I think Thomas can remember this, but the tradition of movies started with Tutu Man, and then it carried on where Thomas and I would have afternoons going to the movies with Uncle Francis when we were young kids. And then even as we got older, we would go to the movies together. So my love of the movies developed from a young age, and that was something that Uncle Francis and I always bonded over. But I will truly miss him. He always gave me the opportunity to serve him in one way or the other. And that's something that I think I always appreciated, was just spending time with him in the car, talking about anything that he wanted to talk about, and giving him the opportunity to teach me all the time. So thank you, Auntie, for giving me the opportunity to share this. Not only will I miss his time, but we will definitely miss his blueberry pies. So I'm gonna figure out the recipe so I can serve blueberry pies at Thanksgiving this year. But thank you. Love you guys.
Hi, this is Roxanne, Auntie Jorgen, Auntie Miley. No more that kind time anymore, but Pocho gonna speak little bit, okay? I am Edward's oldest daughter, and it was wonderful to see all of our family today. Thank you for being here and being a part of this, and sharing such fond memories of Uncle Francis. If there's anything unique about Uncle Francis, he remembered every single one of your names. First name, middle name, married name. When you were single, he knew each of you, and he reminded us all the time who you were. And even if I said, oh, Uncle Francis, what was Auntie Miley's oldest son's name? He knew your name right off the bat. So Uncle Francis, you are right. He was such a unique, loving man. And I think he's smiling down on us today. I think he's smiling because this is what he loved, his family, and all coming together and being a part of some kind of celebration. And today we're lucky we're celebrating him. I just wanted to share two things. This morning I went to the gravesite, and probably one of the hardest things to see was that hole being dug out. My son and I went, and I used to go with Uncle Francis to the grave sites to take flowers to Tutu Man and Tutu Lady and to everybody else. And he would always say, this is my plot. But today to go there and the workers to come up and say, hey, this is for Francis Forsythe. Just hearing his name was a tough thing to know that that's where he's going to have his final resting place. The second thing I wanted to share with you is he was struggling right at the end. And one of the most humbling things was the doctor answering our prayers to be with him before he passed. Because we did not want Uncle Francis to be alone at all in that hospital room. There was too many times when he was already alone. And the doctor granted us permission to come into the hospital. And you know, nobody can go in the hospital with all that's going on across the world today. You're not allowed to go into the hospital. But he called Robin and he said to Robin, I think it's time for you, the three of you, to come. And so we had the opportunity to go up, and as we walked into his room, there was a nurse tending to him, and his smile went from ear to ear. That we walked in, and the first thing he did was grab our hands and said, thank you for being here with me. Then he looked at Robin and I, and he said, just help me, tell me what I have to do. And we said, Uncle Francis, as he was still very sharp, all he wanted to do was say goodbye to every one of you. He wanted to call everybody and say, I love you and goodbye. But he held our hands and he said, Roxanne, I will be able to go and see Tutu Man and Tutu Lady. I'm so excited. I will get to see your dad and your mom and Clayton and Uncle Byron and Tutu Gilman. Uncle Byron, I will be able to see them. I will go and I will share with them what's going on. Of course, I said, don't tell my dad what I've been doing, but he said, I'm going to share everything about what's going on. But Uncle Francis, after we were able to be there, and we could only be there 2 at a time, after I walked out and went downstairs, Renette went back up, and they got to spend the evening with Uncle Francis. Robin particularly spent the night there, and just before his last breaths, the thing that he was doing is what you all said he was so blessed with, his music. He was singing happy birthday to everybody. Even though it was Robin's birthday, no happy birthday song to her, but happy birthday song to everybody else, because he loved each one of you. Uncle Francis loved each one of you, and he knew each one of you like he knew the back of his hand. And it was such a blessing for Renette, Robin, and I to spend as much time as we could. We wanted to bring him home. We begged him to tell the doctor, let him come home so we could take care of him right in his home. But he said, I don't think I can come. I'm really in a bad way right now. I don't think I can come. So for the doctor to let us in and be there with Uncle Francis was such a blessing. And I know that Heavenly Father was excited to receive this servant who was faithful, strong, kind, and loving to everyone that walked in his path. I hope that each of us will carry a little bit of what Uncle Francis shared with us in our own hearts and in our minds. And thank you, Auntie Jorgen. Thank you, Auntie Miley, for being his sisters that he could go to every day. Because, you know, after he called you, he would call me and say, Miley told me to change my diet. Miley told me to eat this better. And then we would go down to the McDonald's and eat French fries and everything Auntie Miley said not to eat, we would go eat fish sandwich and French fries, and then drive to Baldwin's Shave Ice and eat that naughty shave ice. But he loved each one of you, and I love each one of you too. And we will see you Monday. We will do our best to represent each of you at this celebration for Uncle Francis as we share his life with many who will join in for the Zoom. I love you guys, and thank you for giving me this time, Renette. Auntie Jorgen, Auntie Miley, thank you. Bye-bye, mahalo.
Okay, thank you, Roxanne. Okay, before we turn the time over to Auntie Miley and Auntie Jorgen, I just want to announce that Mike Riggin will be giving our closing prayer. But we also want you to know that my daughter Kelani has created a Google Doc that you can go to for Forsythe family newsletters. Those have been scanned and uploaded. Uncle Francis wrote the program for Wailo Award for a number of years, and his writings are remarkable. Those have all been uploaded. The slideshow is uploaded. And there's other things that are there that we're hoping would be of interest to you for your personal family history. And so you're welcome to download any of that. It will only be available until November 7th. And then we're going to unshare that site so that it stays private. And also the genealogy we were able to put together. Thank you. You worked with Uncle Francis to do that. That was his starting point, and you have finished it beautifully. So mahalo for your cooperation and for having that available for all of us to see. Our love to Auntie Miley and Auntie Jorgen. So you may now go, Auntie Miley, followed by Auntie Jorgen. We will finish with Mike Riggin in our closing prayer.
Hi. The first thing I want to say is this is an incredible family. It is just so incredible to listen to each one of you. This is terrific. I hope we're recording this for posterity. This is like our history, our family history right here, only we are missing someone. I was going to ask, Kikoa Riggin, are you on? No? Oh, okay. I thought he might have been on. All right. Okay. So guess what? Everybody took my speech. Everybody said everything about Uncle Francis that I was going to say. And it was going to be 2 hours. So I will cut it down. 2 things that I remember about Uncle Francis that no one knows, except probably Jorgen. When Uncle Francis was little and in grade school, he was not a person, he was not a child that would defend himself. He would not, if people came up to him, because he was big and tall, they would come up to him and sort of harass him, and he would not do anything about it. He would not at all. So as we grew older, I think I was in maybe the 5th or 6th grade, and Francis was a year behind me. He was bigger and taller than me. But when we would walk home, he would be getting harassed again by kids. And one time, I think I was with him, we were walking home, and they came up to him, and I'm not sure if they were using their bikes to go into him. I can't remember, but anyway, he did nothing about it. He just kept walking and would walk around them, and finally I'd had it. So I turned around and they looked at me, they jumped off their bikes, and I started chasing them. They never did that again to Francis. They would, and so from then on, I realized I should walk home with him or be pretty close so that he would not be as bullied or harassed like he was. But he would not defend himself. That is what a kind individual he was. From the time he was little, he was kind and did not want to hurt anyone or be aggressive in any way. He just wouldn't do it. The other thing I want to tell you about Uncle Francis is probably 5 days before he passed, we were on the phone, and I felt like he was not quite sure about what was going to happen to him. And I said to him, Francis, guess what? Mom and Dad are waiting for you. They're doing cartwheels. They're shouting, screaming, calling you. I said, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's like walking from one room to the next. That is how easy it will be, Francis. I don't know if he believed me, but I said, don't be afraid, Francis. It's going to be all right. You're going to have this fantastic reunion with Mom and Dad and Edward and Byron and Kelby and Clayton and Tutu and everyone. Uncle Wallace, Uncle Charlie, all of them. So he said, thank you, but I'm not sure that he actually believed it. I was thinking about what I would say, and I think that listening to everybody has pulled this whole thing together for me. And I'm thinking of like a bank account where you put things into the bank. And I think that what our bank account is a bank of goodness. And I think Tutu Lady started this bank of goodness as she did so many things for so many people. And Uncle Francis was the elected chauffeur. He would drive Mom around while she delivered sweetbread and pies and lays and clothes and whatever she could do to help the sisters, she did. Her sisters were so precious to her. And he became, after Edward left, he became her chauffeur and he would drive her around. Okay, the last thing I want to say is my testimony. This is what I testify of, and this is what I believe with all my heart. God of heaven is also the God of earth. He's also the Father of the Savior, Jesus Christ. And he's also our Father, the Father of our spirits. He sent his Son to accomplish the atonement for us, which he did. And while he was here, while the Savior was here, he organized his church with disciples and apostles. And then he came back and gave us the restored gospel. So now I testify that the restored gospel of Jesus Christ that's taught by the Church of Jesus Christ is the truth, and I testify of it. I testify that the Book of Mormon is true. I testify that the priesthood that the brethren hold is so wonderful for everybody, for everybody. This whole family has so much priesthood. Oh my gosh, so much priesthood. Some of them don't realize they do, but it's there. So I'm thinking we can put all of this into the bank of goodness, because that's what we are. We're in a bank of goodness, and Francis showed us how to do it, and Tutu Lady showed us how to do it, and everyone else who went before us showed us how to do it. Our bank has $1 million in it, okay? $1 million worth of goodness. Okay, you guys, I love you guys. Man, I haven't seen Ronald Paul forever. Where have you been, Ronald Paul? And who else? Let's see, Thomas. I know, Thomas, I'm getting bugged here. And Thomas, Thomas and OJ, and I haven't seen them, I don't know, since they were teenagers or something. I'm getting bugged here, so I have to close. Mahalo. I love all you guys. Thank you for doing this. This is so cool. Thank you so much. Okay, Jorgen, you're on.
Okay, I just got unmuted. Here I am. Mahalo to all of you for doing this. And according to my younger sister, my tita, she really was a tita when we were growing up. She used to box everybody's ears who messed around with us. And Shani, thank you for speaking. I haven't talked to you in a long time. And thank you all for your wonderful tributes to Francis. He loved interacting with people, and he loved keeping in touch with all the family members because he just delighted in magnifying your lives and the qualities in your lives. So I'm just going to read a few remarks that I've received since his passing by family members. Quote, my cousin, whom I greatly respected and admired. Quote, we embraced and expressed our love for each other. Quote, such a great man. Quote, exceptional person, so welcoming, like we were long lost buddies. Quote, we shared genealogy. They were all good deeds, and this is a testament of cousin Ka'oao. Another, quote, light like no other, a beautiful, kind human. And I like the last one. I want to serve my community and my loved ones by remembering his example and paying it forward. Francis loved the piano, and he was always trying to teach me and mine how to play the piano, but I don't know, I'm not that good at it. Maybe I don't put in the practice like he did. Anyway, he was the one that credited Mama for teaching him the piano to begin with, because she did teach him what she knew. She was not a piano player. Anyway, he says he's always loved her, and he's always given her credit for that. But the thing I liked about what he said about her was that he said there were so many great things that Mama was terrific at doing. And then after that, he said, we should have listened more. So I hope we all take this to heart, and that we listen and draw upon the power of the word daily, and we hear him. I loved being his older sister because I could always tell him what to do. And even when he didn't like it, I would say, and who's the older? But we really were the three musketeers, the three of us. We were a gang. We looked after each other, we took care of each other, and we enjoyed each other. In our later years, we spent many precious hours speaking on the phone with Francis, the three of us. And I remember him saying, I'm building this house. And he says, when it's all pow, us three guys gotta get together. We gotta talk story. We gotta trade stories that we may have not been involved in, and yet they're so interesting. And then he said, and then we got a kanikapila. And oh, we were all for that. That was for sure. But we enjoyed, I loved him and enjoyed the many kindnesses through the years when he would invite us to various things, to join him in Las Vegas, to join him for dinners after conferences here in Salt Lake. And it was so fun to have him. The kids enjoyed his piano playing, and they would often say, man, I wish I could play the piano like him. And I would always say, practice, practice, and practice. That should do it. Anyway, because of our noble birthright, we are the begotten children of the Most High, the King of Heaven. Our potential is unlimited, and our inheritance is sacred. So let's never forget that. And I wish to thank all of you for all that you have done and for all your kind words of love for Francis, who was an outstanding brother and uncle and friend. And I say this in Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, Mike, cousin Mike Riggin, our closing prayer, please.
Our dear, kind Heavenly Father, we bow our heads at this time as a family to give thee thanks for the love that we share as a family. And this time we are so grateful for this celebration of this great man and brother, uncle, and friend as we celebrate Uncle Francis's life and what he has meant to each one of us in our lives. We're thankful for him, for his time, for his effort, for the love that he expressed to each one of us. We're thankful for the example that he set for all of us. And we are thankful to have known him. We ask thee at this time, as we go throughout this weekend of remembrance and celebration, that we will be reminded more of the times and the experiences that we had with him that meant so much to us. And we will continue to celebrate him. We are grateful that the understanding of the plan of salvation and the understanding of where he is at this time. And we express our love and our gratitude to thee for this knowledge and for the wonderful technology that allows us this opportunity to get together. And we express our love and our gratitude to thee at this time and do it in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
So Ronette, do we have to hang up?
Oh, Auntie Miley, too bad, yeah. Auntie Miley, a quick FYI, for the funeral at the graveyard, I'm going to FaceTime you, okay?
Say that again, would you please?
Auntie Miley, at the graveyard, I'm going to FaceTime you so that you can see the casket being carried in, okay?
Thank you.
I'm going to FaceTime you, so have your phone charged, and
yes,
all you have to do is press the green button, okay?
Okay. Can you do that? Can you do that for Renee too? I'm not sure.
I cannot do more than one.
All right.
But I'll talk to you after and see if we can find someone who could do it for Renee.
Okay.
Okay. And then I believe Kamoa'e will take care of Auntie Jorgen so that you can both be present there for the burial. We have roses, white roses from all of you that will be placed on Uncle Francis's casket. And will be lowered, and they represent all of his nieces and nephews and grandnieces and nephews. So that will be part of our goodbye to Uncle Francis.
Ronette,
and then if you can join us.
This was so fun. You guys did so much work. It was so fun. We know that there were behind the scenes going on, things that you had to do that we didn't know anything about, but you pulled it together. It was great. Thank Robin and Roxanne and your kids, whoever helped you, and Kealani and Kavehi. And one thing I wanted to tell you, when we were home one time, Uncle Francis was playing the piano, and he was playing Makalapua. And I said to him, Francis, why are you not recording this? And he says, oh, I said, Francis, record it. And he was playing those chords, the chords that he plays. Oh my gosh, they were wonderful. And it didn't seem important that he recorded. I said, it's important to me so I can have something. He didn't do it.
Auntie Miley.
We are missing out.
Auntie
And
Miley.
his version of Aloha Oi, have you ever heard him play Aloha Oi?
Yes. You gotta talk louder, Ronette.
And
Auntie Miley
was talking about Aloha, Hawaii Aloha.
Marty. Mom.
Oh, sorry.
No, Ronette needs to tell you something.
So Auntie Miley, you can record me. Oh, Makala.
What are you doing?
Got you, Auntie.
Keep going.
No, mute. No, they put me on mute already.
Come on.
See, Ronette, I said, do we have to hang up? This is the best part now. Can we stay on for a while, please?
Oh, yeah. Yes, you're welcome to. But
Everyone start singing.
Say
Auntie
again.
Miley, we're going to sing Aloha Oi and Hawaii Aloha for Tracy. The Hawaii Aloha is for Tracy. Okay?
Oh, yes.
I didn't realize that was so special, but since you brought up that memory, so at the grave, we can sing Aloha Oi and we can sing Hawaii Aloha. We just have to be socially distant.
Yes, my favorite. My favorite. Somebody's got to FaceTime me. I'm taking the day off from school so I can do it. Somebody has to FaceTime me.
Okay, so we will exchange. I've got your phone number, so we'll find someone.
Thank
Okay?
you.
All right.
Thank you.
Same with Renee. We'll find someone, Renee.
Okay, we're gonna take a picture, so find your good angles. Everybody get cute.
Okay, wait.
What if we don't have a good
I gotta
angle?
fluff my hair.
No gang signs, Auntie Miley.
So that's not
Who's taking the photo though?
Hey, just a minute. I mean, after we do this, I want to see if my kids are on. Your Howley grand nieces and nephews. I only have nephews, but
Okay.
All right.
Chase is down there.
I think Chase is on, and I think Dex is
Dex is
driving
on.
right now, driving around and around, listening to this, and he's loving it.
Okay, we got 2 pages of people, so I'm gonna do the first page. I don't know which page you guys are on, so just smile for both, okay? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, cheese.
Cheese.
Okay, page 2. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay.
No, they're just saying cheese. They're taking
Yeah,
pictures.
we reply to it.
Okay. Did you smile, Chase? Chase, say hello.
Hi. What's going on?
There's my Kainoe Heilani. Yes? And Jessica, his wife. And where's Dex?
Chaser, say hi. Tell them who you are.
He did. I don't know if Dex is still on.
The pressure you're giving him.
You get that from your mom.
And Kelly's son, Parker, is on, but he's turn your camera on, Parker. Where's Parker? Courtney, turn the camera on. Come on. They're being shy.
It's not like that.
No, it's not.
I think Parker's the least shy in this family.
They're having technical issues.
FYI, Uncle Francis's doctor gave us really good scoldings He passed away on a Monday. On Friday, the doctor called us and said, you did not keep him on his diet. If I knew all of you went out to chop suey with him, I would have said it was your fault. We got good scoldings from the doctor. I was so shocked. The doctor's like, he's not sticking to his diet. When we go to work, he's got his miso soup, all the right things. But in between work, he was going holo holo with some of you. Now we know. You in trouble. I'm gonna send Ka'ano'i after you. Could we have you introduce your children? If you have time, the great grands. Just whoever. If you've got Renee, you've got your son there. Can you? Leah.
This is Jake.
Hi.
Jake Harrison. Ka'anoi kamali'i kane okalani.
And
Wow.
Tim, tell Tim to come up here.
Tim's in the back, and
Yeah.
Maddie had to work, so I appreciate that you recorded this.
Down in frame. Get in frame, Tim.
Awesome.
Hey, Jaker.
Yeah, Kulia.
Come here, Jake.
Kulia, Auntie wants to meet your family, please.
Oh, okay, sorry. Hold on. Let me find everyone. Sorry, just a sec. Clay.
I can't believe she's in New Zealand. That is just crazy.
This is Kalea Aloha. She's 5. Right here. Say hi. This is Waimarie. She's 3.
Wow. What a beauty.
What a dolly.
That's the rest of our family. Oh, sorry, my kids are all over.
Oh, sorry.
I'll come back to me later.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, Kano'i. Kano'i.
Aloha, this is Kopiko. He's our eldest, 14, I think, 9th grade. And the rest of the keiki are not in the house. So just him and I.
Oh, wait, back to me. Sorry, guys. This is Kotua. He's 10. Hello.
Kotua.
This is She's 12.
Hi.
This is Mana. And this is Mana. You guys remember Mana?
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
He's 15.
Wow.
That's not a hat on his head.
Wait, I do have one more. My baby is somewhere.
Is Cole still on here? Yeah, he's right. Can I interrupt, Kulia? Her mana is 15. My youngest granddaughter just turned 16. Did they hear that? Yeah. There's the baby.
And that's my baby, Malia.
Oh, cute. Oh, Annie. Annie, your little one, we saw her.
No.
Yes. This is June.
Oh, my gosh.
And Rocky's asleep.
Oh, too cute. Dalton?
Yeah, so this is, can you say hi? This is Avery June Noelani Forsythe, and then our other daughter, Kaylee, is asleep. So just us for now.
She's like your level.
Come back. Gonna say hi.
No? You want to? Anyone else we have?
Oh, your turn. Okay. Introduce yourself.
I'll go with you. I'll go with you.
Okay. My name is Andrew. This is my daughter, Alana. And this is my son, Kupa'a. And Renette is my mom.
Run is his mom. She's my cousin. She's my age.
Tracy?
I'm trying to get Phil to stick his head in here. Come here.
Yeah, where is he?
Yeah. This is Philip Todd Kaimana Okalani, Homer,
Yeah.
his wife to be soon, Nikki. Nikki.
Hello.
And I'm trying to see, well, you guys met Chase already, or you saw Chase. Dex was driving around, Ubering, but I don't see him on here. I can't tell. I don't see him.
Did Kulia get on?
Okay, just fill in the camera again, and we'll say it's Dex. They look like twins.
Yeah, they look alike. Is Parker and Courtney on? They were.
They were, but they couldn't get on.
Paul, Thomas, go get Lohi if she's up. Paul, can you introduce us to your Kiki?
Brooke would kill me if I woke up Lohi girl. So I'm just gonna, I'll show a picture on my cell phone really fast.
Thomas, this is your auntie speaking. It's your auntie. Who cares what the wife says? It's your auntie.
You cannot see, she's right here. Anyway, I just for Uncle Kamwai and Auntie, I loved Kealohi Makamai's name so much that I named my daughter Kealohi as well. Oh, I just woke her up. I'm in trouble.
Blame
it on me.
That is a beautiful name.
So, Rukusan Chai, Ana Lakia Iko, ke Evelani, okay, Garcia.
Auntie Jorgen.
So cute. And
Usually
Megan?
it's turn 2, and then another one on the way, 2 from me first.
Megan, are you still available?
It's bedtime over here, but these are my two. My baby turned 3 today. Say hi. Hi. My oldest. On your name. My name's Rachel. No,
Yeah. Thank you, Megan. Alex, who do you have there?
I got one of my babies here.
That's their youngest. That's Auntie Jorgen's. That's my.
This is my ginger baby. I got 2 more. I have a black wiener and then I have a pit bull, but none of the others wanted to come in the picture. But these are my cakey.
Oh, thank you for sharing. TJ.
So Thomas Gerald is in bed. And same thing like Thomas said, that I'd probably be in. And I know you are my auntie, Ronette. You know that. By the way, my middle name is James, and my son's middle name is Gerald. So we got no Hawaiian names going on. So I apologize for that. But it's really cool to hear everybody else, with all the names that you guys have.
Hey, Thomas, when you and I have a chance, I want to share with you what Tuman wrote about the name Thomas. Okay? When we get a chance.
Thomas Charles Forsythe.
Correct.
TJ, I didn't know that was an option. No Hawaiian name.
Ask Tom and Sally.
Do we have anyone else that we may have?
Gerald and Jorgen.
Oh yeah, ask Gerald and Jorgen.
Yeah. Ron's Hawaiian middle name is Paul.
Do we have anyone else? I have missed. Okay. All right. We love you all. Thank you so much.
Love you guys. Good to see you all.
Bye. Good to see you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good job, Mom. Mom, good job. Good job.
Aloha.
Ronette, when are we all going to get together?
I know. Let's do this.
Ronette, you have a house big enough, right?
Yes.
We'll be over.
Renee and Tracy, we hear you're the Riggin reunion.
I would love to plan it. We'll just have it at your accommodations, right?
We can quarantine at Ronette's house.
Okay.
You've been here before, Tom. Come on back.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Just wear your blue BYU. That's all I ask.
I'm gonna go stay with Robin.
You're only saying that because they're winning now.
Only because the U's is too scared to play.
I know, really.
Oh, snap.
Trash talk.
Hey, Ron, where are you living now? Ron, where are you?
Portland, Oregon. Oh, I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Oh my gosh, serious? You still are in Portland?
Where would I go?
Well,
how come we don't hang
out? How come we don't
I know.
see? Oh, you're
I'm gonna do it. I had no idea you were in Vancouver.
That's where I've been forever. Ever.
Okay. Well, we need to all get together. This is so much fun. Good to see everyone.
Right?
We'll get
Yeah.
together, not in downtown Portland.
Yeah, not in downtown Portland.
Yeah, I can think of some. Well, I can think of some other places.
Yeah, like Vancouver.
I never go to Vancouver. You're gonna have to cross the
It's
river.
the
Sorry.
best.
It's a personal thing.
Cross-
You don't go to Washington.
Cross the river. Come to Zion.
Jorgen says, let's do this again. Yeah, let's do this again, for sure.
It's good to see you again, Roxanne.
Yes, good to see all of you. Thank you so much. This was so fun.
See you soon. See you on Monday, everybody.
Okay, Ronette, let's talk about the song.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Aloha.
Bye.
Danny.